Welcome, everybody, to the post-Switch traumatic stress syndrome episode of the Brutally Honest podcast. We're recording on Sunday, and I am, as always, Erich, joined by Rick.
Hi, this is Rick, and actually the title of this podcast is called The Nintendoing Switched at Birth.
What?
Dylan.
Hi, everybody. This is Dylan. You could find me on Twitter at Dylan's Legos.
And Jason. Last but not least.
No, I am not least. Damn it.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, you're only like the editor in chief.
You can find me at Jason_TAS on Twitter. Please follow me.
Everybody follow.
Please follow me.
Please.
Hashtag please.
Jason, is it possible to move your mic closer to your mouth just a little bit? You're coming in a little quiet.
Okay, I don't get this because this is my usual.
Can you just put it in your mouth?
Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, we can hear you. Cool.
Can you just yell the whole time?
Today?
Sure.
There you
Let's
go.
So, yeah, this has been a pretty terrible week in the gaming community.
Wow. I don't believe so.
I mean, regardless of what you think about the Switch, I think saying that this week was terrible is pretty silly. So.
Well, a lot of things have been being canceled and closed too.
Oh,
not just the Switch. Yeah.
I thought you were going on about the Switch.
I'm not just talking about the Switch. Yeah.
I also thought you were going on about just how incredibly awful the Switch looks.
Listen.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Let's start with some cool trailers, guys.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We'll get to the Switch by the end. And so by that point, I got a feeling it's just going to devolve into a screaming at each other. For me, screaming at like all three of these.
Yeah. All right, so this game just came out on Friday, the 13th. It's called Rise and Shine. It's by Adult Swim Games. It's a 2D side scroller described as bullet hell, just a zany all around game. It's about this little kid with a hoodie, and he gets this foul mouth gun, talking gun, and something goes awry, and he has to save the day. So I don't know. I just saw the trailer recently. It looked pretty cool.
It looks boss.
Yeah, it did.
It does look neat. Are you reviewing
and we
it,
actually
Rick?
have a code for that. I don't know. Is no one else interested in it?
I think I might get it.
Okay. We can talk some shop after that.
Than I do.
I would look for a review of this game within the next 2 weeks or so.
Cool.
You'll
have to give us an update next week on how it's going.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I like it.
It
looks like it's going to be really hard, though. So that's kind of why I'm willing to let other people play it. Just a heads up, Dylan.
Oh, thanks.
If you want to go that route. I don't know. Do you like difficult games? I'm not the biggest fan of.
I play any and all games, but I don't know if I have time to work on it, but I'll try.
That's not to say I don't like hard games, but there's like bullet hell games I'm not huge fans of. So.
The only games I don't play are sports games.
Ooh.
Wow.
Not even fishing?
That can be debated because when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I really had fun playing the Bass tournament on the PlayStation 1. No, PlayStation 1.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Quick, everybody tell me your favorite fishing game.
Sega Bass. Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Dreamcast.
Zelda.
Yeah. Oh, Final Fantasy 15.
All right.
You do a lot of running. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You throw bombs bigger than the size of your head at people.
Can't imagine bombs are light either, so that's a good point.
When you throw them.
All right, well, that's Rise and Shine.
So there's that.
Yeah, I guess I did these 3 next trailers, huh? So the next one is Meaty, and it's by crap, who is it by?
It's by
We
somebody.
Happy Games. It's We Happy Games and THQ Nordic published it. And it is an episodic, story-driven narrative, kind of point-and-click adventure game about a murder at Cypress Knee and deep in the Florida swamps. And you play as 3 people who are trying to solve this murder. And they kind of describe it as a theatrical playthrough. So from what I read and what I understood, it kind of like as the scene changes, the people in the game will actually turn into stagehands, I'm guessing, and help move the scene and change it. And then they'll go back to playing themselves, is what I'm guessing. I don't know.
It's cool looking, though. And they mentioned Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Promo trailer, so that's a plus.
It looks really cool. And it says there's like no wrong way to play the game. There's always, and obviously all your answers and choices have consequences. So,
well, you can always not play the game. I guess that's the wrong way.
Yeah. Oh well, they just said there's like no way not to win. Like there's not. I mean, there's always an ending to every choice you make.
Like the good ending, the bad ending,
yeah,
the really good ending.
I think there's just an ending. And everybody dies. It's really sad.
Jeez.
Yeah, no. Spoiler alert.
Everyone dies.
Everyone dies. It just says flash forward 50 years in the future. Everyone dies. So I would definitely check it out. All these trailers are on the site right now. And the last one is the Troll and I. And you know what? I have no idea who that's by.
It looks like a Crunchling. That's all you need to know.
Ooh, Dylan just okay.
So Crunchling.
Yeah. So the Troll and I is a platform adventure game, buddy game, and you're this human and you discover a troll back in the forest, and there's a bunch of people hunting said troll, and there's just a bunch of hilarity that ensues.
Of course.
So, is that the right word for that?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a buddy cop film, so I bet there's going to be a lot of funny stuff in it.
Yeah, I could totally. Now the troll is the Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the human, his name is Otto. He does the Donald Glover role.
Danny Glover.
Sorry, not Donald Glover. I always get those two mixed up.
Both Glovers.
I know.
The troll is odd looking, but I love the way this game looks.
I do too.
Cool. I like the fact that they have one like giant tank character, and then you have the small human who can like run around and more agile and stuff like that. Really cool.
Yeah, it looks good.
I guarantee. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut anybody off.
Oh no, you're fine.
I guarantee that at some point there's going to be a puzzle where the human has to get down off of the troll and go through a small gate and open up a larger gate.
I would assume.
Yeah.
What?
I know, that's my bold prediction. You better watch out.
Well, it also says right here, troll is not scary. Troll
is not scary. An odd thing about this game though is it the price tag for it is like $50, so it's not quite full, like a full game.
Is it
it's
full
not
retail?
Quite.
I mean, is it retail release or is it
digital? I think it might be digital only at first, but I could be wrong. But it's just an odd price tag.
This is a PS4 game, right?
PS4, Xbox One, PC.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm back.
Woohoo!
It's out for everything.
Even the Switch. Just kidding.
No, not yet. Just wait.
There are only 5 games in that.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Hold on.
All right. So again, all these trailers are on the site. Definitely check them out. These look like they're pretty good games.
Yeah, they do.
Did anyone else catch any other trailers that I may have missed?
No.
I don't think so. This wasn't a super busy week except for like all the Switch stuff and a couple other choice little nuggets.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't
Switch trailers.
Yeah.
But
we're not quite there yet.
No, not yet.
All right, is the PS4 release? They're gonna do a Glacier White edition
Yeah.
for the
Oh, that
PS4
sounds really
Yeah,
Slim.
nice.
it looks freaking sick.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I can't afford it, but I want it.
Yeah.
No, I'll be skipping this one too because there's basically no point. But it's
Yeah.
really cool looking. If you don't have a PS4, it's really cool.
What
Yeah,
about
as long as you
What about when your Glacier White PS4 gets dirty now? What do you do?
just say
You
you
mean caked
dust
with
it,
dust?
you dust it like every hour.
What if you spill coffee on it?
And then it's
Then
dead.
wait,
But
who
why would
spills
you
coffee
spill-
on their
Yeah, what are
PS4?
you doing?
I didn't say I did it. I said what happens when you do.
What if
I
you
said-
throw coffee on it in violent
Someone's
rage?
gonna spill coffee on their
spill coffee
PS4,
on
and
it.
they're gonna be very upset.
You
What
know
if
what,
somebody?
Eric? I bet
What
it
if I
has
throw
that
my?
like plastic coating. I bet it's not a matte finish, dude. I bet it has that plastic coating.
That's fair. I don't know.
Because
Yeah.
that
What
would
if
be
I-
kind of. They can't make like a white system and make a matte finish because then it's all porous, or it has that bubble or that rough texture feeling to it.
That's true. I like that rough texture feeling, but yeah, you're right.
I agree. I do
What,
too.
what if I go and take my PS4 and throw it in the water and somebody thinks the glaciers are melting?
I don't think it's gonna happen.
That's you're crazy, Dylan. You're crazy.
Oh boy.
All right, so no one's going to be getting this. All right,
Yeah,
now we can start going into some sad news.
Sad
Microsoft
news.
canceled Scalebound. I was kind of upset about hearing this news because,
I was definitely upset.
yeah, it looks like a good game. I didn't realize all the hate for the game is out there, though. There's a lot of people that thought that game looked like crap, so I was a little surprised. Yeah. I don't know though. Does anyone know the full story on this? I just know that there's something
They
going
haven't
on
they
with the
didn't
actual
really
developer.
they didn't release or didn't want to say anything about it.
Okay.
The developers.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They released a little thing where they said, yeah, we canceled it but we're working on these other great games, and that's basically all they said.
Right.
it's really upsetting.
I mean,
Yeah.
Platinum didn't seem terribly happy about it, but
Yeah, Platinum. That's who it is.
Yeah, Platinum's the developer.
But you guys know though
they've been
too.
spotty,
Or go ahead, Jason. What?
And I was just gonna say they've been spotty too. Like they did the Ninja Turtles game that came out last year, and it was kind of not so great.
Did you play it?
I played a very little bit of it.
It was okay. The Transformers one was better.
The Transformers one was better, but it didn't start out that way. When you start that game, I thought anyway, it was very slow moving. It just seemed like this generic beat 'em up. And as you got deeper into the game, it introduced a lot of stuff that Transformers fans would like. So it kind of it kind of grows on you. It's one of those things. But it started out kind of meh. And for me, the Ninja Turtles one, which I don't own, I played a friend's copy. It started out the same way. So I don't know if that would grow on you as well. It might. But I mean, for me, it just didn't seem that great.
Everybody got it for free with PlayStation Plus.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, can't sweat that. I'm not a huge Transformers fan, though.
You are?
I'm not either.
I'm not. And that's something that I wish I was a bigger fan of.
Well,
because it's just neat.
I'm a huge Transformers fan, and for me, it was great because it played off of the old cartoons and was like tied in directly. It basically fell between the cartoons and the movie, which was really
that's cool. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, because they dropped like hints like what was to come.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. But it again. I think it's one of those things. And if you're not a huge Transformers fan and you play that game, I don't think you're gonna like it because it's kind of generic in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that.
Well, I'm not the biggest Transformers fan, but I think it's definitely better than their recent games they've made.
Ninja Turtles. I mean.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles and they made something else. I can't remember the title.
Bayonetta 2. Right?
Well, we're excusing those games. I mean, those are like
really good.
Yeah, those are good games.
Wait, which games? I missed it.
Bayonetta 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, okay.
But all right, yeah, that's sad. I was looking forward to playing Scalebound.
That was well.
My
It was fun. And I liked the multiplayer component to it too. It just looked like an interesting game.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was 100% sold on it, but it did look interesting.
I was.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered
And then you
it and
didn't.
everything.
Oh, you're kidding.
You didn't.
No, I didn't.
I didn't even know it was available for pre-order.
I just sent them a bunch of money.
You didn't put this on the list real quick, but we can talk about it. Gorilla Cambridge's studio in England actually closed.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they made rigs, right? Did they make anything else?
They made rigs. They made Killzone PSVR. If you remember the PlayStation 1, they made the medieval games with the skeleton.
Wait,
Oh,
yeah, I love those games. They made those?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they've been operating for 19 years.
Oh, this is like Gorilla. I thought this was like a.
This is a division of Gorilla.
Oh, okay.
It has nothing to do with Horizon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But this like branch in specific, they made rigs.
Yeah, they made rigs. The mech game for the.
Yeah.
I've heard that was good. Actually.
I hadn't played it.
Oh.
Yeah, they made the best first-person shooter on the PS Vita, which was Killzone Mercenaries.
Well, to be fair, it's also good. One of the only shooters on the PlayStation.
To be fair, it was the only game on the PS Vita.
Oh wow! There's 3 first-person shooters. It's Resistance. No, first-person shooters.
I know.
Man.
I know.
God.
There's Resistance, which is There's
Call of Duty, Call of Duty was crap. Call of Duty was they what did they do? That was so bad. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why the first person shooter. I mean, it's like a whole separate thing, but I don't know why the first person shooter didn't take off on the Vita. I don't know why people didn't take advantage of that. And then now with the new 3DS, you have twin analog sticks, sort of, and there's like first-person shooter action going on there too. So
they did Resistance, not Resistance. They did Resident Evil, didn't they?
That was before. Was on the original 3DS.
Yeah, but when they added another stick attachment.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I had it.
You had it.
It was quite a chunk of plastic.
It was.
I have that Resident Evil game. Just have it instead of the 3DS.
I'm sure you do, Eric. I'm sure you do.
I do. No one believes me. I love my Wii U.
Anyway, do we want to view on the lighter side of Jason's comic book rack?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
You know, before we get to that, I wanted to mention that there was another semi-official, unofficial cancellation this week. As we learned that there will most likely be no Half-Life 3.
Oh, yeah.
Good riddance. I'm so sick of that franchise.
Where has been the franchise? It hasn't been anywhere.
Yeah, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of hearing about it. Get out of here.
It's never gonna happen.
I'll take more Left 4 Dead. That won't happen either.
I saw a picture. Yeah. I saw a picture recently on Instagram, I think, and it was a picture of some guy on his deathbed, and as soon as he was about to go, he looked on the TV and said, "Half-Life 3 confirmed."
I think that's more like the eve of the apocalypse.
Half-Life 3 is real. That's what it's called.
No, it's gonna let everyone down.
Man.
And it would have. So
Yeah,
I'm with you, Eric. I would rather see some more Left 4 Dead.
I actually got into an interesting conversation with my buddy yesterday, and we were arguing basically over whether or not. What?
I hate Left 4 Dead.
What?
Oh, Jesus.
Why? Why do you hate it?
It's multiplayer.
Oh, but it's so
Right, well,
good.
You just run around with a shotgun
Get
and
out of here
kill
with your
everything.
multiplayer.
Okay, Jason hates multiplayer.
Nonsense.
That's good.
Hey, I played it all by myself a lot of times.
Yeah, you can play it all by yourself.
You can.
All right,
That's-
so maybe I'll get it.
Well, here's
Like,
the
it's been out for years.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have it.
I don't know. I love that game. We used to play that game for hours. It's just so much fun.
yeah, I love
I'm
it.
not sure, but I don't know if the studio is actually going, because they don't actually own the property of Left 4 Dead.
You mean Turtle Rock?
I think that's their name.
Turtle Rock
Yeah,
was
they
the
don't actually.
developers of Left 4 Dead, and Valve bought it from them.
Yeah, so
So, well, here's the thing. I think Valve would make Left 4 Dead 3, but they're only going to make it if they can figure out a way to make cosmetics and sell them.
mhm.
So,
But that's the same thing. Like they did with. I'm talking about the horrible game that came out that was DLC, like punching, like Evolve.
What?
You know Evolve. That was,
I do. I
You
actually
didn't
it
like that
was
game?
but
it
I'm glad I didn't
was
get it.
it was so
I
much
bought it,
DLC.
and I liked that game a lot.
Like the core game was fun, but there were so much things that they wanted you to buy.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with Valve. They know not to do that. Valve just wants to sell you hats and gun skins.
Yep.
Now, Turtle Rock was said, oh, we're going to make this game. We're going to sell you new monsters and characters and classes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, you know that is.
I have to say too, if
Yeah.
anybody saw it, there was a really, really cool, like, and this has nothing to do with video games, but there was a giant, really cool, gigantic statue of one of the monsters from Evolve at Comic Con maybe 3 years ago. It was freaking awesome. It was a great promo piece, and I saw a lot of people like talking about the game and stuff like that. This was around
what is it called? Is it the guy Goliath?
It was probably the first monster.
Yeah, I think it was
Goliath. Yeah, you're
Goliath.
right.
Goliath. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think that game got a lot of crud for what it was, because I thought it was a pretty good game.
It looked good.
I mean,
again,
the loading times were a little ridiculous. That kind of part sucked. I mean, they're almost as bad as like Star Wars Battlefront, and that kind of sucks because the whole point of the game is to, play each other. It's kind of like Titanfall 1. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But I think
now it's free. It's free in Steam.
Is it?
Yeah, free to play.
But you probably don't want all the characters.
It's like if you guys know the game. It's like now if you guys know the game Warframe, it's free to play, but it is a lot of other things that you have to pay for.
Yeah. Oh, the age in which we live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Free to play. A wink, wink.
Developers are becoming like drug dealers.
Yes.
They're like, here's a little taste of our game.
The next expansion only costs $1.99.
Yep.
Well, you know what never changes no matter what age we're in, and that's comic.
Comic books.
No! But okay, you could. But also comic books.
Ron Perlman told me that war never changed.
What's that?
Ron Perlman told me that war never changed.
I love Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman never changes.
He
never changes.
I'm really anxious to get to the Switch stuff, so yeah, let's do your comic rack.
Okay, we're gonna go through this fast because there is a lot of Switch stuff. So we saw this week DC's Rebirth initiative has reached the graphic novel phase, and so they're doing collected editions of like the first story arcs, Superman, Green Arrow, Batman, Aquaman, I think are all available now or by the end of next week. And there'll be a lot more to come on that. So if you missed any of the Rebirth stuff from when it first came around, and it is really pretty good. If you like DC, you're going to want to get into some of this stuff because it's cool stories and it's classic, well, more classic versions of the characters. In the case of Superman, it is the classic version of the character brought over into the DC universe. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Does he hate communism?
What's that?
Does he hate communism?
Well, of course. What kind of question is that?
I guess it was a dumb question.
Yeah, come on, man. Truth, justice, in the American way. All right. So after that, we've got another piece of news here, and that it's a little bit of a spoiler alert here for any Spider-Man fan, because Ben Reilly is back. Ben Reilly is the Scarlet Spider again. Back in Cleveland, big time. So for everybody who hated the Clone Saga and didn't like Ben Reilly, well, you're not going to like this either. So. And he's also got a hoodie.
Oh man!
And now it's a really pointless hoodie because it's built into his costume for some reason. It's not just a hoodie. So it's
everybody loves wearing hoodies. You know.
I think it only works for Spider-Gwen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it totally works for her.
Yeah,
it looks like that looks like a cohesive costume. This is not. I don't know what the hell this is, but in any event, I actually liked the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider back in the '90s, and it was one of the only parts of the Clone Saga that I actually enjoyed. So I'm not totally happy that they brought him back, but it does seem weird. In any event, I think I put it in the story too, if I remember correctly. But I actually thought when they did Superior Spider-Man a couple ago that it was going to turn out to be Ben Reilly. I figured that was what they were going to do. Instead of Dr. Octopus, of course, who had a whole big convoluted storyline where Dr. Octopus took over Peter Parker's mind for a while and was Spider-Man. I figured they were going to do the whole clone thing at that point. They didn't do it, but now we have the clone thing now, and it's like full, like ridiculous amounts of clones all over the place. So if you liked it, you'll like it. If you didn't, you probably won't again. And
are there more than Ben Reilly and Kane?
Well, as far as Peter goes, no, but I don't think so. But the storyline itself had all of Spider-Man's villains who had been killed off in the last few years, and there actually were quite a few of them. They had all of them brought back as clones.
What?
Yep.
Oh my god!
So like the Rhino, they actually, this was really weird. They actually killed off Prowler and Electro right at the beginning of the arc in order to bring them back as clones. So, I mean, it was like, what the hell?
Pointless filler.
Did that. The one thing I like is they brought back classic Dr. Octopus.
Did they?
Who still was around in just a mental form from when he tried to take over Spider-Man's mind. So he put his brain back into a clone body. So it's kind of cool.
Oh my god!
I mean, I like Doc Ock, so I'm just happy.
I do too. I loved him.
But it's
and I kind of like the Superior Spider-Man thing, but that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy. I think it was. I mean, I liked parts of it too, but it was a nutty storyline. But anyway, I think Dylan fell asleep. Anyway,
I know. Sorry, our comic book talk is so boring, Dylan.
No, I had to stretch.
That's what's going on in Clone Land. Also, we have a Kingpin #1 preview up, if anybody wants to take a look at that. And we have previews of the Valiant books for this coming week. I highly recommend picking up Harbinger Renegade, which is a great book, and the Divinity 3 book for this coming week, which casts the Valiant universe in a Soviet makeover. So everything is Soviet, as though the Soviets took over the world. And it stars Exzel Manowar in a really interesting storyline. So you're going to want to take a look at that as well. And that would be the Comic Rack.
Nice.
Also, there's no Half-Life 3.
Wow.
So who's gonna start this?
Well,
We need some theme music.
Yeah.
Like breaking news theme music.
Mortal Kombat. Begin.
Round 1. Fight.
So, you know what? I'll start it. Here we go. During the presentation, everybody loved it. Everybody loved what they saw it looked like. Everybody was it was amazing. Go to sleep. The next day, I wake up and everybody hates the Switch. So I don't know what happened in those 8 hours. I'm a little bit.
You thought they loved it?
I mean, during the presentation, the people I follow on Twitter, yeah.
I found out like everybody was like, what is this madness? Like, who does a press conference? Not even really a press conference. Who does an event like that? They got a white couch.
This is Sparta.
To use for only 5 seconds for a guy to sit down on it and put it on stage.
Oh, hold on. You're comparing what you expect E3 press conferences to look like.
Yes.
No, I'm not comparing it to press. That's why I didn't really want to use the word press conference. I wanted to use word event. It's like an event they had.
Right,
it's not really. I wanted them to.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
It was a press conference, and it wasn't an E3 showy video gamer or press conference. It was a traditional Japanese business press conference.
I think it should have been. I think it should have been showy in video gaming.
Yeah, it definitely should have been.
I know that's not what they did. I totally dig that, Eric. I do. But there's no excuse for it not to have been showy in video gaming.
Because with their competitors.
I mean, it wasn't. If it were, Nintendo hasn't put on a live press conference.
That's a good point.
In years, it's been 2 or 3 since they've been at E3 even. So.
Wow, that's a really.
And I think it's hurting them.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that the press conferences try to fit the square peg that is Nintendo into the circle hole. I don't think that is necessarily.
I felt like this should have been a Nintendo Digital or Direct.
I think it probably should have been too, in hindsight. But I mean,
yeah,
just a really well produced.
A lot of their games, they weren't doing any live demos. It's not like they had people on stage struggling to play games correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed all the wrong things.
How so?
So what I mean by that is that they spent too much talking on everything we don't want to hear.
Like what?
Does that make sense? They talked about
you just don't like the games.
No,
that's fine.
There's some
that's fine.
No, there's some pretty interesting games. I'm not saying I don't like the games, but I'm talking about ARMS and 1, 2, 3. Those are the games we think back to the Wii, and then they didn't really discuss. Sadly, they didn't really discuss the hardware or software.
Yes, that's a very good point.
So I think that ARMS is very much Splatoon for fighting games for Nintendo.
I can see
that. I think them showing that is fine, and I think the 3-minute trailer they showed for 1-2 Switch was also fine.
I would disagree there.
I think it's fine because there are people who are going to buy this because it looks like a new Wii. That's why they're going to buy it.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just, oh man, I'm so over that.
But is that generation really coming back?
I mean, we don't know if they will or not. They're trying to get them. Listen, I would totally agree that it was a crap conference if those were the only 2 games they showed. I would be totally behind you and say, yeah, they should have showed more of this and they didn't show enough about that. I would. But they showed us real games that we want to see. They showed us new Mario. They gave us a better look at Zelda. They showed us Skyrim is coming, which say what you want about it being an old game. It's a pretty big thing to have on your console.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they show us Mario Kart 8 though?
I mean, they kind of did, and then
I think it was a mistake.
They announced it afterwards.
But they did they announced everything afterwards, so which was kind of weird.
I mean, that's what Nintendo does. They show montages and then they have trailers and they talk about it in the treehouse afterwards. Like, this wasn't a digital event. They weren't going to spend 20 minutes talking about Mario Kart 8, a game that's been out for 2 years. They were going to... What's up, Dave?
I'm sorry, Eric. If you read Michael's piece, it's actually got some nice improvements. I think it could have been talked about at the event, Mario Kart.
Right. I mean, and I'm not, shouldn't have. I just see why they didn't.
Yeah, I guess.
They could have spent like I would say if they did like just if it was more fast paced, if they did it more fast paced and not spend too much time on one thing, because that's what they did with most of the stuff. I felt like they spent too much time talking about one thing.
I don't necessarily know if I agree with you. I think that it was fine. I wasn't bored. I didn't. The entire press conference, I didn't find myself like looking at the time and going, "Oh, I hope they move on soon."
Yeah. No, I have to agree. I wasn't bored either.
Well, yeah, I wasn't bored. I felt like it would have went nicer with the people that are watching at home.
Right, but the Japanese don't care about people who are watching at home.
That's
I mean,
right.
traditionally, the business people there, they don't give a very closed-off bubble. It's how they operate. That's why Nintendo has such weird business practices as opposed to online. They don't think people like it. They don't really open themselves up to what other people might want. They think they have it down. Whether they do or not, that's why they think they have it down.
I think the biggest mistake that they made was not talking about their cable television streaming service or how their console interacts with cable television in general. Because, everybody loves those parts of press conferences.
You see, like, you're joking. You're joking, but if they did, you know how much crap they would have gotten?
I know.
So I honestly think that people just, and maybe you guys don't, but people look for any reason that they can to hate Nintendo.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I actually look for reasons to like them and what they, because I'm such a big fan from years ago. But I totally get what you're saying, though, Eric, because I think you're right. I think there's a huge portion of the populace who does like virulently hate Nintendo for some reason. But at the same time, I wanted an onslaught of video games, and I don't mean just like gimmicky stuff like 1-2 Switch or even new IPs like ARMS. I wanted to see classic stuff from Nintendo, new stuff, but from classic IPs,
and a solid launch title
to smack
and a
you.
solid.
That's what they needed.
We can say that the launch lineup isn't good, Dylan. If you're gonna say they don't have a launch title in Zelda,
I mean, launch. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I messed up the wrong word. Launch lineup. I wanted them to have a solid launch lineup, like the Mario game is not even being on the launch lineup set, which kind of is sad. But
well, it's their fall game. It's what
yeah.
they're gonna have to carry through the winter and the holiday season.
But I am pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about these games that they're having. They have Zelda, Fire Emblem, Mario, Skyrim. That's not even a Nintendo game, but still.
Yeah.
And then they have Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is awesome.
My jaw dropped
Like
when I saw that.
I like the games they have. I really do like the games they have. But I felt like they didn't show enough.
You see, I guess that's where me and the entire population that I've spoken with disagree, because I feel like we saw a lot of games for the first year, not for launch. Like we saw with Jason said, there's going to be 5 launch games, and only 2 of them are good in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the first year, there's a lot of good games coming out in the first year for this console.
By the way, just to let everybody know, those 5 games are Just Dance 2017, 1-2 Switch, Skylanders Imaginators, Super Bomberman R, and of course, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which is the game that you should be buying if you buy a Switch.
I'm getting bound.
But the thing is, isn't it also coming to Wii U?
Yes, it is.
What that is that I think that might be a small or a big downfall for them. I don't know yet.
Well, it's a good question, Dylan, because I don't remember how this worked out with the Wii and Wii U. Because was it Twilight Princess, Eric? Do you remember?
Yeah,
it was the Twilight
on GameCube.
Princess launched on the GameCube and the Wii.
Right. Was that? I mean, did that sell better?
I felt like most people played it. I feel like most people played it on the GameCube. I'm not sure about that.
That's not the experience I had. The experience I had, and this is all from all of us. This is anecdotal. This isn't like factual.
Yeah.
I played Twilight Princess on the Wii, and all of my friends played it on the Wii. So I think it really has to do with if you're in a group of, because if you're buying a new console already, are you going to tell me you're not going to get the new console version of that game?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying.
Yeah, a lot of the pre-orders have been selling out.
Right. So, but let's look at the numbers though. What's the install base of the Wii U? It's nothing compared to the PS4 and the Xbox One, but it's bigger than 0, which is what the Switch install rate is right now.
Mm-hmm. I think that the one problem, Eric, that I can see spinning out of this thing with Breath of the Wild is that you want to have a game that will sell consoles. And if you have your game also available on your last generation hardware, then it's possible the only people who are going to really buy the new version are the Nintendo diehards. You're not going to see people who are like, wow, cool, a new Zelda. Oh, I got to get a Switch to play it. Let me get a Switch. If they already have the Wii U, or if the Wii U is dirt cheap, they'd probably just go that route. I have a friend who's doing that.
Okay, and I see what you're saying. And I mean, I don't know your friend, so I don't know your friend.
He's not a huge video game guy, but I mean,
sure.
But he loves Zelda from when he was a kid, and he wants to play the new Zelda because he's heard so much hype about it. And he was like, "Is it available on the Wii U?" Which he already has. And I told him yes, and he was like, "Okay, well, I'll just pick it up for that." So
okay, well, let's see.
That's like
What's up, Dylan?
That's like that's because think about it like this. There's us, and then there's the average consumer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like we play a whole bunch of video games. We own a lot of consoles. We go out and play video games. But then there's the mass majority is the average consumer who gets who gets the Call of Duty, who gets the next Nintendo game, who gets the next Battlefield game, who keeps getting FIFA every year it's released. There's that guy, and that's really going to determine what happens with this next console.
Well, you're right, but I want to go back to what we were talking. I thought you were going to say something about the Zelda thing, so I just want to go back to that real quick.
Yeah.
If you don't have any console and you want the Zelda game,
yes,
I think you're more likely to buy the new one.
Yeah.
That's all.
Most
That's
definitely.
all I mean. Of course, if you already have a Wii U sitting around, you're going to go buy it for the Wii U.
Right.
But if you have either one, even if one's cheaper, I think you're probably a little bit more likely to buy the new one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But I think it's hinging on what you just said, that you're probably more likely. You'll have people who won't, though, because it is cheaper, and they want to save a couple of bucks. And
it's totally fair.
Right. And I think that in that way, doing a double release or a cross-generational release, whatever you want to call it, is. I don't know if it's the best move. I know it's not the worst move, but I don't know if it's the best move.
And a lot of people speculated that it was going to cost $250.
Yeah, right. There's that too.
I saw speculation between $250 and $300. But do we have confirmation that the Wii U version is launching on March 3rd?
No, I don't believe we do.
So they could push that back a month or two.
That would be smart. Yeah. That would be smart. Bless you.
Sorry, guys.
Whoa.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but,
I think that would be a smart move. I And the launch lineup, which I know people now consider the launch lineup like 6 months is the launch lineup. But I mean, the day one launch lineup, when people want to go out, buy their new console and get a couple of games to go with it. I mean, Skylanders Imaginators, I've heard is the best Skylanders in a couple of years. That's good to have that there. But it's not a marquee game by any means. 1-2 Switch is going to apply to the the more casual audience. Same thing with Just Dance. Super Bomberman is great if you like party games, that kind of a thing. And
competitive, Jason. What do you want about? Bomberman's the most competitive game.
Yes, well, that is true.
It's gonna be released at the same time as the Switch.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is that too?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, didn't you have one more?
What's that, Eric?
Weren't you going through the launch lineup?
No, I think that's it. Skylanders, Breath of the Wild, Super Bomberman, 1-2 Switch, Just Dance.
Gotcha.
Wait, they also came out with this weird title game. It's like the
Octopath Traveler.
What? That's the name of it.
That's from Square Enix, and it's a JRPG.
Okay.
So, I mean, of course, it's going to have a weird name.
When I first heard that name, I was like, "What?
That
What
game
is
looks
this
gorgeous.
game?" Like, it looks good, but I was like, the name.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not too. I don't know. Let's look at like 6 months to a year. Let's look at this console in that year. We're gonna have Skyrim. We're gonna have Mario. We're gonna have Mario Kart. Which Mario Kart? There's no excuse for Mario Kart not being a launch title.
There you go.
Let's talk about that. That's absurd.
Yes, it is.
That's stupid and wrong, and it makes me angry.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wait over.
You have to wait. Yeah, it's pretty.
I'll pick it up.
Yes, so will I.
Yeah, a lot of people are gonna pick it up, most definitely.
Because Mario's great, but it should be a launch title.
I'll tell you personally, for me, I wouldn't have minded seeing the re-release of Mario Kart, but at launch, I think that was important, and I wanted to see the Zelda at launch. I think that's important. But I would have thrown in at least 2 more, like, can't miss Nintendo IPs, and I understand that's probably that would fracture the release schedule for the rest of the year, but it would have made a hell of an impact.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, for me, it's not too bad because I'm not going to be able to run out and buy 8 games of this console anyway.
Well, no, not you're not going to buy 8 games, but
get it at launch. I'm going to buy Zelda and then Bomberman, and then 1-2 Switch. Because I think I could have a lot of drunk fun with that.
Well, that's
I was like, podcast. When I was first thinking about the 1-2 Switch game. I was thinking back to the Microsoft E3 2013 conference, how they're all about TVs, and this one is like, we don't even want you to look at the TV.
Yeah, right. Don't even glance at it.
But yeah, I mean, and then by the time I can afford more games, Mario Kart's going to be coming out. And I switched my pre-order for the special edition of Sonic Mania from the PS4 to the Switch.
Oh, did you?
Because I did. So
the only reason I didn't is because I still like trophies and achievements and stuff like that. And Nintendo hasn't done that again.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about that too.
Will they?
Maybe they might.
Because they really need to start. They really need to start amping their services up, I think. And plus, okay, we haven't mentioned this yet.
Uh-oh.
But their online paid services where you get to rent a game for 30 days.
That is accurate.
What is this madness?
You know how this? If they let you buy it for like $1 to keep it, like a huge discount. I would be okay with it then.
I'd be okay with it too.
But making you pay full price for it after you
But
are already paying.
you know what? Also, Eric, the model is there already. Just let people own the game, quote unquote, own the game.
Yeah, people don't own it. That's full license.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's totally senseless. It's not even like they had to develop anything new or come up with some new ideas. The model is right there.
Oh, hold on. Let's go back to what I said a couple minutes ago. They're so far off in the bubble that they're not looking at what other people are doing. They don't care.
Yeah.
So
that's just
saying
a
I like
shame,
it.
I guess you're
Saying,
right.
what were you?
And wait, do they have to? Here's another thing. Do you have to use your phone for multiplayer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why
apparently.
is that not built into the system?
So Jason and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's good or bad until I try it, because honestly, nobody knows if it's going to be good or bad or not. Yeah, everybody who's just hating on it is just hating on it because it's Nintendo. Until
I'm also thinking about kids.
Yeah, it makes it harder for kids to have access to these people.
Yeah.
So that could be another reason. But let's look at a game like Arms.
Yeah.
If you're
This was a
playing
good point.
Arms, where are you going to plug the headset into the controller to have online conversations?
Right.
Like you can't. There's nowhere to do it.
Yeah.
See, what I was saying to Eric the other night was that is an excellent argument for the iPhone or the cell phone app. The only thing I would say is, why not have that as a nice plus? So if you're playing a game like Arms, you can use your cell phone to talk to your friends while you play. That's great. But then if you're playing a game like Breath of the Wild and you're using the Control Pad Pro, why not have a jack built into that?
Yep.
And then
I'm
I said
totally with you on that. Totally with you.
I said to you the other night, it may have a jack. We got such little in the way of hardware description. I don't actually know if it does or not, but I assume it doesn't.
And you know what? It's probably going to have like a headphone jack of some kind.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing I feel like they could add in later. I don't know.
It's the small things. It's the small things they didn't mention.
I mean, don't forget the Xbox One controller. When it first came out, it had no headset adapter. I mean, it had no built-in headset. It had an adapter. So, I mean, there's always that too. I mean, they could release an adapter for that kind of a thing. But it just seems like, again, and I guess you're right, Eric, because you keep looking back to these things and saying, well, why didn't they do this? And I guess it's just because they think they know better and they don't think people want it. But again, it's right there. The jacks are built into the DualShock. They're built into the Xbox One controller at this point.
They're doing well for a reason.
Right, exactly. Why not just look at that and say, well, we need to have at least the Pro controller have a jack built in for a headset. And then to have Reggie get on with that interview, and I forget who did the interview, but it was a terrific interview just because so much came out in this regard. In that, to say like, well, we don't think, gamers really want to wear those clunky headsets.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, it's like, really? Are you sure about that? Because there's a whole market devoted to it.
There's a humongous market devoted to it. I prefer wearing headsets over wearing earbuds.
I mean, you could plug a headset in here. Here's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, too.
How I feel. I'm just going to plug a headset with a microphone into my phone when I'm talking with friends. That's what I'm going to do.
We don't think gamers want to wear those clunky headsets, but, Reggie, you could just plug that into your phone. Well, whatever.
Not if you have an iPhone 7.
What? Maybe that is their end game. Maybe that is what they're planning on having people do. And we don't know.
Yeah.
Not telling anybody anything.
No, right. And it's like, good Lord, March 3rd?
Are you guys sure you want to release it then?
I almost think, and I don't know, how smart this would be because Scorpio is coming up, this holiday. But I almost think it would have been a better idea to hold off on this do a holiday release and hype the hell out of it, like past E3. That do that kind of a thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
I felt
I get to play.
After this, I felt like they should have. I felt like after this, felt like they should have did a direct, or they should have had an E3 press conference instead of just like a whole like treehouse event dedicated to one game.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have increased the hype. They would have made more people excited for it.
Yeah, as much as I don't care for hype, it is important. I mean, you got to get people whipped up about stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of people tune in to watch E3. Not as much as PAX and those other events.
Right. Rick, were you going to say something?
I don't know. This whole thing, I don't know. I'm probably one of those people that Erich talks about that just wants to poop on Nintendo all the time. But because it comes from like way back in the day, and Jason, you know all about this. Like I grew up with a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo, so I love Nintendo and I was all about it. But then they just didn't seem to care, or they just fell out of like. I think maybe they started focusing on Japan and like China and all those places, or I don't know. Maybe there's just a disconnect.
I think Rick. I think you're on target partially, because I had kind of that same feeling about them. And I think like when I think the N64, I loved the N64, loved it. And then I felt like with the GameCube, so much of what they had done previously, they just, I don't know, kind of stopped doing. In terms of like big game releases and getting third party stuff that was cool, because I remember playing a lot of first person shooters on my end. And they weren't made by Nintendo. It just like all of that stuff kind of like dried up, and I felt like they weren't. It sounds so corny, but I felt like they weren't talking to me anymore as a gamer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. And then like with the Wii, it was very much the same thing. I know a lot of people went nuts for that, because of the new stuff that it offered. And that's cool. That's great. But I felt
it was
very
a huge boom.
Yes, it was. The Wii U, I'll just be 100% honest. The Wii U I bought totally just to play Mario and Nintendo first party games. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why I got the Wii U.
I'll just stick with my Game Boy Advance SP. Play some Castlevania.
Well, now are you going to get the Retro Boy or whatever it's called?
That looked cool. That looked cool.
Looks awesome.
That looked awesome. Yeah. What?
I don't know. I'm not excited about this. I don't know how many times a company can keep coming out with these subpar products and like crappy pressers, and like I don't see how they keep making money, to be honest. I mean, I guess that like have that Pokemon and they have all these other like IPs that keep breaking in money somehow, and then it keeps them afloat. But it's just like, I think they would be such a better company if they were just like, we're going to start just focusing on handhelds, or continue focusing on handhelds, and just start making new games for like all the systems. Because
what are they?
That much better.
That's
what are they? Konami?
No, Konami's not focusing on anything.
Here, that's not what I want. That's not what I want, because I don't think you would be able to get the same experience from Mario games if you were playing it on Sony. And that's not just me being like in love with Nintendo, which I am. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Nintendo makes games in a way that utilize their hardware in a way that you might not even realize when you're playing.
Yeah, but at this point in time, for me, like, the fact that they just keep making subpar hardware, I don't want to go buy that. That's like, I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Sure, but why is it subpar?
Well,
because it's not going to be on pace with everything else that's out there.
Yeah, but why is it about how powerful it is? The games look good and the games play well anyway. What's it matter?
Yeah, it's just, I know what Rick is saying. It's just like, you see stuff that's like a couple of years old, and Nintendo's hardware isn't even as quote unquote powerful as that. So it's
it's not so much the hardware either, Eric. It's the fact that, and I know they have a huge lineup of third party like contributors and developers, but sometimes there's just going to be games that they can't do. Like I bet this, like what if this new system can't play a game like Batman Arkham City because of the way it's like created and the way that the Batmobile is just like this giant like process, So it's stuff like that, and like why am I going to go buy a system that's going to be limited?
And here's a good note. I believe when they release Skyrim, it's going to be it's not going to be the upgraded version for the PS4 and Xbox. I believe it's the downgraded version that we might see on the PS3 or a later PC.
I think you're partially right there, Dylan. It's not either one was the word that I had heard a couple of months ago. It's kind of a half measure between the two.
Yeah.
So.
And it costs $60 again. Like what the heck?
Well, unless you didn't buy it the first time.
I'm gonna buy it for $60.
Yeah. So I mean, what I'm saying, I guess Eric is like, I don't know. I would love Nintendo, and I just wish they would like, they're not. I don't know. I feel like it's like the stepbrother, or just not something that's like not as good as all the other stuff. And I think it's a misservice to everybody. To be honest.
I see where you're coming from. But, like, how many people are only going to have... Any people who care about this stuff, like what you care about, what you're talking about, are not going to have another console or a PC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people who care about that stuff are going to have one of those.
Well, I don't have a PC, but if the Nintendo Switch came, like, it doesn't have to be like an entertainment center like the Xbox and the PS4 are, but at least it should have some of those features.
Have you guys ever watched Netflix on the 3DS?
Yeah, like once.
Though, guys, I think one of the things is, too, and Eric makes a good point in that if you do care about that stuff, you're going to have additional consoles, you're going to have a PC, so you're going to get the Switch just to play your Nintendo games, but then you come back to the point again that it's getting it just to play Nintendo games, and is that
yes.
Gameplay
is always first to graphics.
I think that's
yes and no.
I prefer gameplay over graphics.
I listen.
I'll say
the way I do too. But like Rick was just talking about Arkham City, okay, and let's use that as an example. Now, Arkham City looks fantastic,
yes,
and especially for its day, it was amazing. I mean, the graphics.
Yeah.
So if that looked like crap, but still played as well as it did, because let's be honest, the Arkham games probably the best superhero titles maybe of all time as far as implementation of fighting styles and stuff like that go. So if it still played exactly the same but looked like crap, would you love it? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't say not after what we've seen already, because if the PS3 can do better than the Switch, that's kind of a problem.
Also, you guys have to realize what the Switch is.
Yeah.
The Switch isn't a home console. I mean, it is a home console.
It's a game console.
It is. Hold on. It is. But you can take it out of its thing and take it with you.
Yes.
Which based on that functionality, I think minor power concessions.
Hey, I listen. I love that function.
That's just me. Like I'm not going to convince Rick to love the hardware and go buy a Switch. Maybe I will by the time it launches. But
yeah,
you make a good point, Eric. But it's the same thing all over again. Because what I was just saying was, is it healthy for Nintendo if you're buying it just to play Nintendo properties on?
Right. But who's to say that the install base is there, that other developers might not use the hardware in a way to get, make some actual third-party efforts.
Yeah, totally. But also what Rick was saying about the big games. If you're going to see big games like Call of Duty, I mean, as much as some people hate to say it, but Call of Duty is important to the industry. Games like that. No, they are. And if you're not going to be able to run those games on your hardware, then
again, it's the average consumer. They get those games every year. They do that. They keep
keep that developer funding other things.
Sometimes Call of Duty is the only game they play.
And but then those people aren't buying Nintendo consoles anyway. People who only buy Call of Duty games are not getting Nintendo consoles.
No, they won't be.
Yeah, but I mean, think about this for a second. And God knows what this would push the Switch's cost up to. But if you had a Switch, the Nintendo Switch, as it stands now, except it was parity with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and in terms of power, and you had Call of Duty appearing on that, don't you think people would buy a Nintendo console? Because they'd say, well, I can take my Call of Duty wherever I go.
That'd be a huge sell point.
I felt like this is one big tidbit I had. I felt like they shouldn't advertise it or say it as a console. I felt like they should have went out and said it was a handheld.
Well, I think there's a reason.
See, that's where I disagree.
I think there's
people are so up in arms about the battery life. They'd be even more up in arms about the battery life. It was only marketed as a handheld.
That's very true, but I think there's another reason.
I mean, it's not a handheld. This isn't something you're supposed to take on a 4-hour commute every day. This is something where you say, "Oh, I'm going to a party. I bet we could get a couple rounds of Mario Kart, and I better bring this with me." And then you play Mario Kart for 20 minutes, decide to go do something else.
What's the battery life on that thing?
2 to 6 hours.
2.5 to 6.
But then there's that
really
majority community.
Straws, aren't I?
Yes.
But then there's that majority of communities like really hyped for playing Skyrim on the go.
See, I was, and I don't know how long the battery life is going to last for Skyrim, but I'll tell you right now, I will get.
Jesus.
Well, who fell down? What happened there?
Sorry. She's going to town. My hip.
Jesus.
But, I will get it, and I will play it on the go. Hope the battery life lasts, because that's a big selling point. Waiting and not just buying the remastered edition, because I've never played Skyrim. And when I saw the remastered edition, I wanted to grab a copy. But since I knew it was coming out on the Switch, I'm waiting. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Because it's another thing. It's like you can take it on a commute, but you're gonna have to charge it before you go from your commute to go out.
Right.
Buy the official Nintendo battery.
Yes, well, that too. I'm sure they'll have an advanced
extra battery.
Yep. It'll be like the Game Gear all over again. But isn't it always charging when it's in the dock? So
yeah, I would think that too.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a full battery when you leave the house. It's just
right.
If I'm playing Skyrim, it might last 3 hours,
3.5.
Yeah,
probably older.
Yeah,
something intensive.
Yeah. Something like that. I mean, that's not bad.
That's going to be good for a commute, especially if you're in the city.
Right.
Commuting on the subway or something. How long's a subway ride for you, Jason?
It depends. Downtown could be 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Switching trains and stuff like that if I have to do that. But usually, to go uptown, I don't know, 15 minutes.
Sure. So say you need to go uptown. You take you take the Switch for 20. We'll say 25 minutes uptown. 25 minutes. Charge again.
Yeah.
You gotta eat lunch. You gotta do other stuff.
Right. Or use that extra battery they're going to be selling. I'm sure.
Right. But I actually saw a photo right before we started recording of the size of the Switch, like the actual tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not too much bigger than an open 3DS XL.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty portable.
Speaking of that, by the way,
you can always make it smaller by taking the Joy-Cons off.
Yes, well, that's true. Yeah. It's table mode. In terms of handheld, I know this is kind of unrelated, but what's the over-under on Nintendo announcing a new handheld in the next year and a half, 2 years?
Probably they're just gonna.
I would say next E3.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
Are they coming out with their 4D console? They go in the 4D.
It'll have 2 flip-out screens.
In 3D.
Exactly.
Jesus. It has
I mean, I don't know where
24
they go from
D-pads on it.
Did anybody see that Razer laptop with the 3 screens?
No.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That thing is crazy.
Rick, it has 2 screens that slide out, so it makes a 3-screen setup.
But just imagine the old laptops from yesteryear. It weighs literally about the same.
There it is. I see it. That's insane.
That thing is nuts.
Dude. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you got to give Razer, at least they take chances.
Yeah. I'll give them that. It's something different.
So have you guys seen the cartridges?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
So they're about the same size as they look almost exactly the same to the PS Vita cartridges.
Yeah, I think it's like double the thickness, but other than
Yeah.
that, it's like the same kind of.
Yeah, that's not what I expected though.
Yeah.
I wasn't
That
expecting
scares me.
these huge Nintendo
feel like I'm gonna
64
lose 'em.
cartridges.
Like I lost my game.
Oh
No,
man.
it's the same thing with little kids and their DS games.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as me and my 3DS games. I have them all in a freaking Ziploc bag.
That sounds secure.
It's not.
And beautiful, very attractive storage style.
Before we started recording this morning, started replaying through Xenoblade Chronicles because Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Very excited with that. And I had to dig through a Ziploc bag full of 3DS and Game Boy games.
Do you throw out your cartridge cases?
No, nope, got them all on the shelf, but they're just on a high shelf. So
Okay.
it's just easier if they're all in a bag.
Yeah,
In reach, and then all the boxes are up on the shelf.
I used to do that Altoids tin.
It's not a bad idea.
For on the go, it's kind of nice because you don't have to buy a case. As long as you use mints.
Right.
So,
I like mints.
who doesn't?
Right?
I heard that if you keep your games in an Altoid mint case long enough, they turn into mints.
What?
That might be what happened to my copy of Madden 07.
Jesus.
What? You're mad in 07?
That is the only 3DS. I think it was 07. That is the only 3DS, DS, whatever game that I've ever lost. I have no idea where it is.
You probably didn't miss out on too much.
No, I really I
That was
really
what
wanted
Eddie
to-
George. That was the year Eddie George was on there, right?
Oh yeah. It must have been 07 then.
Wait, no, was that? Because 06 was. Who was it? I don't know. I don't know him that well.
I think it was though.
I think it was.
It sounds really familiar.
10 years ago, that would have been right about. Yeah, I think that might line up. Or it might have been. Was Vince Young ever on the cover?
Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot, I don't know.
Thanks, Jason. I gotta go edit. It's getting so close for me to having an edit-free show.
Shit.
Guys, stop.
No, so Vince Young was on the cover. He was on 08. Let's see who was on the cover of 07.
All right, guys. Rick's looking that up. Let's move into what we're playing.
Alexander.
Yep.
I have been playing. I just started playing Titan Souls, the new PlayStation Plus game on my PS Vita and PS4.
Nice.
Ooh,
Is it fun?
yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is. It's like Zelda and Dark Souls, but
Whoa.
the whole thing is just every time you fight somebody, it's always a boss fight, and every boss is different and unique. And you have one bow and you have one arrow.
Oh.
And all you can do is roll and run.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
What?
And then you have to retrieve your arrow, right?
You have to retrieve your arrow, and if you get hit once, you die.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a tough game. I played the demo.
Yeah.
It sounds brutal.
And you have to, and if you shoot the boss at his weak spot once, he dies.
Okay.
If you just shoot him once, but the bosses are very tricky and you have to understand the bosses to really beat them. So you might die like 5 times before you can finally figure out what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then another 5 before you can execute properly. If you're anything like me.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope
It's
there's good load times.
there's is excellent load times. Like when I was playing on my PS4 and it had the cloud save on it. I just hit the triangle button. It went up into the cloud. And I grabbed my PS Vita, and literally it took a second for it to retrieve my cloud data on my PS Vita.
Nice.
The load times are like super fast.
You'd have to.
You know what though? You need quick loading times on games like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be terrible if it didn't have it.
No, it's got to be like super fast.
And the I love the retro design to it. It looks fantastic.
Cool.
There's this one part in the game where you're in a cave with like this a monster that's swimming underneath you, and it was like that was like the scariest thing on there, the scariest boss fight I have played yet, because I hate swimming in a pool with this just monster underneath you swimming.
Yeah, that's.
I also hate swimming in pools with monsters, and this does look pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it.
It's-
I'm looking at the graphics now. Very nice.
yeah. If you have PlayStation Plus, I would highly recommend playing it.
And I've only played the demo, but I would as well second that. It's good. It's fun.
Cool.
How about you, Rick?
I've been playing Darksiders 2, the definitive edition.
Nice.
Yeah, because I played Darksiders 1 obviously, and I'll be playing that now. Oh, I guess I'll also be playing Rise and Shine. Or wait, unless Dylan wants it.
You
Well,
can
we'll
you can
discuss
play
it
it.
after the show. Never mind.
You can
Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jason, you playing anything?
I am actually going back to our Zelda talk. I started playing Twilight Princess HD.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Which is very good. I the first time around, I never got that deep into it. So I started playing it actually just last night. I put, I think, 3.5 hours on it, and pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, it's my favorite 3D Zelda. So
It's really
enjoy
good looking. I mean, it's
It's a good
really,
it's a good game.
yeah.
It's just really long. It's like really long.
Oh yeah. See, that's the thing that turned me off of it last time, because I don't have the time to get into these super long quests. But I'm gonna give it a shot because it's really cool and I like Zelda. So
Yeah. Good stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm just playing. Still playing The Witcher.
oh, okay.
And Gwent.
Yeah, playing a lot of Gwent.
another Gwent.
My buddy got me Borderlands Handsome Collection.
Oh, nice.
I think we're going to be working on that. But,
Beautiful.
Too bad.
Did you did you guys like Skyward Sword?
Yes.
I
Never
enjoy
played
it.
it.
The
Jason,
What's ever?
Skyward Sword on the Wii?
No, Eric, what'd you say?
Oh yeah. You didn't like it?
Oh, I didn't like it. No, I never played it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of hate.
How come?
I don't think it does it though.
Why does it get a lot of hate?
Yeah, it gets a lot of hate because they say that the companion character, like the Navi or the Midna Twilight Princess, its name is Fi or Fee or whatever,
Okay.
and they say it holds your hand like way too much.
Okay.
But honestly, it's not like it walks you through the dungeons and tells you how to do everything. The dungeons are still there. The combat is probably some of the best combat in the entire series.
Oh yeah.
I think so. I think the motion controls work really well for it, and it's one of those games where the motion controls don't feel like crappy tacked on, BS. They feel good.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, I really like Skyward Sword. You have I forget what they're called. You get the bird though to fly on, and it's not the most open of worlds, but I thought it was a really good story. I really enjoyed it.
I'm not wild about Midna, so
She's
yeah.
yeah, I'm not too fond of her.
I'm really not. She's
The King of Red Lions is probably my favorite companion from Wind Waker.
yeah.
But all right,
Hey, listen.
listen to
Mine.
stay a while and listen.
Hey, listen.
Hey.
Does
Hey,
there really need to be all these companion characters?
Yeah. What happened to the day when he didn't have any companion? It was just fairies.
Totally. I mean, there was a time when everybody hated Link.
Yeah.
It looks like we're getting that back with Breath of the Wild. No
Yes.
companion.
You know what I still haven't understood all this time, and they haven't ever switched the roles and put Zelda into the main character.
It is kind of weird.
All these,
You know why?
They almost did it with Ocarina of Time, and they made her a badass, and that's the first time they ever done that.
Yeah,
and I thought that was amazing. And then they were just like, whatever. It's always going to be about Link, and maybe it's just for the nostalgia. Maybe this is another reason why I'm just not into Nintendo, but I just think there's so much they could do with that story, and they just don't care.
Rick, it's I think it's also the kind of the lore of that world, that there's supposed to be a Zelda and there's supposed to be a Link. Because I know
again,
and Ganon, because very few of them are directly. I mean, even though if you read the book Hyrule Historia, they're all linked, and they're pardon the pun, and they're all supposed to take place in the same universe, just different timelines and completely different characters for almost every game.
Yeah.
The only games that actually I think connect are the three in the cartoonish trilogy, from Wind Waker to the Phantom Hourglass to the Train one. Those are the only three that actually
Majora's
connect.
Mask is a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, and Link's Awakening was a sequel to Link in the Past.
And Link Between Worlds, I think, is a direct sequel to that also.
Yeah, Link Between Worlds is a direct sequel too.
But there's like 3 different timelines that spin out of one event. And it's kind of like the multiverse was fractured in the timelines, and it's actually pretty cool the way they do it. But
what I love about the cartoon Zelda is that the toonish Zelda. What I really love about that is that where Wind Waker ends, the Phantom Hourglass picks up immediately right after that.
Yeah.
Oh, does it?
Okay. Yeah, it picks up immediately after Wind
Wind
Waker.
Dylan, what about Spirit Tracks? Is that's also right?
I'm pretty sure it picks up right after that too. Right after the Phantom Hourglass.
So how do they explain all the stuff?
So how they explain it? So they, in the beginning of it, they get Zelda. They get Zelda, right, and they go on the ship and then sail out to the sea forever. and then a giant phantom ship comes by them after, in the very beginning of Phantom Hourglass. A phantom ship comes in by and actually captures Zelda, and then you have to go get Zelda again.
Nice. Yeah, but what happens off Link's equipment?
He loses
Ready?
it. He wrecks onto shore, and he lost all his equipment when he was in the ocean. Because he actually got knocked out. He was unconscious.
He had a lot of really valuable stuff though. He had master sword.
Yeah, he was unconscious.
So it looks like the first. I'm just looking down this quick little time, and this is kind of going off the rails, but whatever. So the first game is Skyward Sword. Then after that is Minish Cap. Then Four Swords.
I have not played Minish Cap yet.
Okay, and then Ocarina of Time is when it gets fractured. And then you have in the one timeline, the hero is defeated, and you have A Link to the Past, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, Link's Awakening, the original Legend of Zelda, and The Adventure of Link, which is the last one. And then you have another timeline where the hero is triumphant, and it says the sacred realm remains protected. And then you have Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures. And then in that same thing, the hero is triumphant, there's a second timeline where Ganondorf is sealed. And it says that one is the Wind Waker, the Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks.
Oh, that's cool.
Those are the best. Those are like my favorite. Those are almost my favorite DS games, the Zelda ones.
No, they're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
All
they're
right,
long
guys.
and they're long.
They're long.
Yeah, they're long.
All right, guys.
Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
So, we have me, Eric. Rick.
Thanks for listening to the Nintendoing Switched at Birth, everybody. You can find me on Twitter at DocBrown303.
You gotta send me that title so I can put it in the thumbnail. Like I'm not gonna be able to spell it.
Okay.
And Dylan. I think Dylan. Did you say goodbye yet?
Yeah, this is Dylan. Bye. You guys are awesome. Thanks for listening.
And Jason.
And this is Jason, and yes, I am disappointed by the Switch, but I will be getting one. So there you go.
I'm not
my Mario.
very excited. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.